Dot sisters and our friends across the globe. It is Shannon Crotty, founder and CEO of Polka Dot Powerhouse, today with a multitask interview. We've got managing director, we've got legacy leader, and we've got 10-year dot interview with the one, the only, so loved in our community, like she's got her own fan club walking around with her, Gretchen Frana. Gretchen, how are you today?
Well, I'm not as cool as you because you have the permanent marker, fan club, but
Sure what that means, but yeah. Oh, permanent marker. Yeah, I got you now. I got you. Okay, so tell people who, because I am blessed to know Gretchen really, really well. But maybe everybody doesn't. Tell us more about who you are.
I am how old am I? 56-year-old divorcee with 2 adult children, who are completely out of the house, which is yay. I have 2 very naughty dogs. Like I don't go a week without them being super naughty. Today they ate my you're gonna laugh. They ate my furnace filters. So
Dogs.
they're so naughty. So yeah, I do not go a day without finding something to be grateful of, including my stupid dogs
That you love so much.
that I do love so much because they're super cute, but they're just naughty. They are my children, so
Yeah, you got. If you don't know that, you're like, why are they laughing so hard? Like the dogs have eaten remote controls. They've eaten sugar-free gum and landed in the emergency room. They have eaten
$12,000
what was this last week?
later.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep,
yeah. So these dogs have eaten everything.
they're just naughty. I mean, what can I say?
Naughty but love, so they're like, well, she'll forgive us. We'll just keep moving. She'll forgive us. All
Pretty
right.
much.
Yeah. So Gretchen and I are going to laugh a lot because Gretchen and I have become very close friends. So we know a lot about each other. Okay. So you became a dot. So you're a 10-year dot.
Mm-hmm.
You became
I'm
a
a
dot in
decade
2014,
decade dot. Woohoo.
right? She
Saying that
put
out
that on
loud
your
makes me
name.
feel really really old.
Loud and old. Loud and old. Um, we both needed giggles today. We needed the giggles today. That's what it is.
Yep.
So do you remember like what made you want to join when you first joined?
I do. I went to a launch in Hastings, Minnesota. And you and Rachel Funk Johnson were there at the launch. And I remember Rachel talking about her zipper had broken on the way and how real that was, that she would just share that information at the launch of a polka dot meeting. And I just thought that was amazing. And then we went around the room and we talked about how can we support one another. And I remember 2 or 3 people that I had never met before. So I was having a March of Dimes pancake breakfast. And I said, hey, is there anybody that would be willing to put something up for a silent auction? And I had 2 or 3 ladies that raised their hand. And at that point, I was sold because I had never been to something before that gave clear support. And it has been unwavering since then. So it was just not a one-time off thing. It's just been constant. So
Yay. Well, that makes my heart happy to hear. So,
yeah.
but that same year, so you became a member in April, and by June,
Mhm.
you were going to launch a chapter. Like what? Okay, it's cool. Like they support each other. This is a community like none other. It's cool to be a
Mhm.
member, but what made you want to jump into a managing partner?
I wanted to be something. I wanted to be part of something that was bigger than me. And I felt like a woman in business at that time. This was a great platform for that. And uh, it has any expectations that I would have had. It has surpassed any of those expectations that I would have had. So it's just so much more than just a networking group. It's a really what you have said is it's a connection group. The relationships come first. and foremost. And as most women do, we like to do business with people that we know, like, and trust. And so once those connections and the relationships are built, the business comes organically. So
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
what I like.
Okay, now we got one more jump to like get your thoughts on. So you're a managing director, and then I
Mhm.
believe the next year, even before it was called Legacy Leadership, I think it was just called Upper Leadership. She was here when we had two Stickshaw. You jumped into Upper Leadership, which is now called Legacy Leadership. And
Yep.
so what was that? Do you remember? Because that, I mean, we've all slept since then, but that was 2015. What was that move about? Or do you think, were you just like, yep, next thing, or what was that about for you?
Well, okay. I'm going to say this now. I'm a recovering yes person. And at that point, you had approached me and said, "Hey, I think you'd be great for." And so I said, "Yes, of course." And now I've just fallen in love with the community. So something terrible would really have to happen for me to go somewhere, because I just love being part of something, but not being, how do I put this? Part of something that allows you as the CEO to architect everything, but also to give my voice on how to make it the best sisterhood that we can. So it's and I hope that doesn't come off weird or wishy-washy or whatever, but I just think that um you have created, it's not just you saying so or anything like that. You have, with this upper leadership and the legacy leadership, you have created a community within a community to help, all of what your sister's visions were for what this company should be. So
Well, thank you, because that is the intention, right? Because like I have a very slanted strength set, and I have very slanted, and when I'm saying this, I'm saying it with full acceptance and belonging to myself. I have a very slanted perspective and strength set, and it is important that I balance myself, number one, with other leaders with different perspectives and strength sets. But number two, I think it's really important that our members see themselves reflected in our leadership. And that means many people have different personalities and different walks of life and different outlooks on things. And
mhm.
you and I have always worked really, really well together from my perspective. But we do, part of that is that we're in alignment with like our core stuff, but we are both different personalities.
But the vision is still clear.
Absolutely.
So that, and that, in that respect, I think you had shared one time that we're the filter, to make sure that everything is still in alignment for what your vision is. So.
Right. And I think that's something people forget, because when you're working with people, right? And people say, what's the best thing you get to do? Work with people. What's the most challenging thing you get to do? Work with people. Because
Hmm.
everybody, like if you say the word sisterhood, everybody has their own opinion of what that means and what that looks like and what that feels like. So what happens is you get, oh, how do I best say this? You get a lot of voices and you get a lot of opinions, and
Mm.
it's easy. Oh, I did a thumbs up. It's easy, as also a former recovering yes person, to want to please everyone, which we don't want anybody unhappy, but it's also important that we are strong enough as a leadership to do what you said, to put it through the filter of, okay, there's 415,000 versions of sisterhood, but our mission and vision, are we keeping with our mission and vision instead of just trying to please everybody and in 20 different directions? So I think people forget that it's like, for one person sisterhood might mean one thing, and for another person it might mean another thing, and we have to be courageous enough to stand our ground on what sisterhood means to us.
Hmm. Agreed.
Yeah. And not always easy, but it's absolutely, absolutely worth it. What, okay, so do you think leaders are born, or do you think leaders are built? Or do you think Guess my
Ooh,
question is, do you think anybody can be a good leader, or do you think that's something that you're born with that strength?
you should have warned me on that one. I think that everybody has that ability,
Yeah,
and I think that everybody are leaders in their own way. So just because you and I are leaders in one way doesn't mean that it's the right or the wrong way.
right,
And somebody else being a leader is not right or wrong either. So I think that everybody has that capability and they're born with it. It's whether or not they utilize it or not.
right. So, okay, so that leads me to my next question. Let me ask you this that I didn't prepare you for also. So
Yeah, come
you
on.
are a director, you are the celebration and event team director, and so you
Hmm.
work with other people, and you also have a leadership team for your chapter. Like, what qualities are you attracted to in leaders? Like, what tells you, ooh, I want to work with this person, we are going to work well together? Like, what qualities do you look for in leaders?
Mm, that's a really good question because when I first became a managing director, I don't think I knew what a leader was. Had a hard time delegating and asking people for help. And now I look for people that are not afraid to step up, that are not afraid to say, "Hey, I see you need help. Let me help you." Because that's one thing as a recovering people pleaser, yes person, it is really, really hard to say, no, I can't do that. And so I think leadership for me and what I look for now is different than what I looked for 10 years ago. But we also change in 10 years too. So,
Right.
hmm.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And I think I love what you said because I think people need to hear more examples of it wasn't like I was born out of the womb, like leader. And that, okay, I think it's very common, especially for women leaders to, when they first start out, to have trouble delegating.
Hmm.
Like, that's a common thing to see. But over time, like eventually there's only one of you. First off, it doesn't send the message of sisterhood, right? To have one person doing everything. But number
For
two,
sure.
you'll completely burn out, right? If it is all you. And what good is that for you or for the world?
Hmm. Hmm. I think the biggest aha moment I've had being a leader is that I can see when other people step into their own and empower themselves. And it's like, knew it was there. And that just makes me feel good because I see it just like you saw something in me 10 years ago. So,
Yeah. It's amazing when you're like, my gut, or like for me, even my gut's screaming, you should work with that person. Oh, and I often think it's Tina, right? And maybe it is,
hmm.
maybe it isn't, but my gut's always, I can feel something in my gut when there's someone that I should work with, or that I would enjoy working with, or I feel like I would want them on our team. I remember when I had the magazine, people would say, "Oh, I really want to work with a magazine." I'm like, "Well, what do you love to do?
Hmm.
Don't ask me what I need. Tell me what you love to do, and let me think in my head if that's something that we can
Work
that will
with.
benefit
Hmm.
our at that point, the magazine, our readers and stuff, but don't ask me what positions I'm filling. Tell me what you love, and that will tell me how we can best utilize you, right? Instead of
Hmm.
trying to fill to a square peg, tell me
Oh,
what shape your peg is.
yep.
I just made that one up right here, right now. I'd
I,
never said
you
that
know, I
before.
I'm a square peg in a round hole. So,
Okay, so what do you think the most words. What do you think
mhm.
the most misunderstood thing about Polka Dot Powerhouse is?
Mm. I think the most misunderstood, and I shared today on my Facebook too, is that we're a networking group. And I think that when you first approach people, and you're sharing what Polka Dot Powerhouse is all about, they don't understand it, because they shut off when they feel that it's networking, because that has had a bad connotation, not only with myself, but probably with other people. And so I just tell people, just come once, see how we are, that it's a feeling and not necessarily something that you can describe, because I think that all of our chapters are so different
Right.
in the community feel, the diversity, in just how we are as a community. It, I mean, how we run something in Minnesota is not going to be necessarily exactly how it's run in the UK or in California. Yeah, we have the same format,
Right.
but I think that because of the dynamics and the who's at the meeting, who the speaker is, it just everything changes.
Right.
I had somebody ask me at our reunion last week, will you you need to have the wow factor. And I said, I can't guarantee you the wow factor every single time.
Right.
But what I can guarantee you is a community feel,
Absolutely.
because it all depends on who's in the room
Right.
and how people are interpreting each other. So
Yeah. So what I agree with you. One way that I've kind of been describing it, and I'm not even sure if this is very hard to describe a feeling. And that's what polka dot is, that feeling. It's that
mhm,
I always say it's that deep breath. When you take a deep breath, it is that feeling. But one of the ways that I kind of been describing it is, first off, there's nothing wrong with networking. Networking is great and it has many benefits. But to me, networking is for a very specific intent and for a very specific time frame. Like I'm networking to launch a business or to get more clients or what have you, to where sisterhood and what we do, at least in my vantage point, is for your life. Meaning, if you're in business, you can utilize it for business. If you're retired, you can utilize it for, people to go do things with. If you are just out of college, you can use it for mentors, you can use it to learn things and possibly, make connections. Depending on wherever you are in life, you can utilize it for different reasons. And so for me, networking is more of a sprint, and polka dot, the sisterhood, is more of a marathon. Like
mhm,
it helps you in different areas depending on what you need and how you come at it. I don't
mhm,
know if that made sense, but that's how I've been describing it more of, yes, they're both really valuable things, but what is your intent? Is your intent
mhm,
to be with us for the 2 years that you're trying to hit an industry goal, or until you get 5 clients? Or is your intent to have a family that's with you during all the parts that you can utilize in different ways as you grow and change? Those are 2 very
mhm.
different intentions.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
I had a managing director, Denise Bender, love her, um, share with me that she does share with her members that expect to be a member for a couple of years, because it's going to take that long to start building those relationships. And I mean, it's true with anything else. You can't expect. Okay, I'll give you an example: dating. You can't go on 10 dates and then expect to know somebody.
Right.
And so you can't expect to be a member for 10 10 months or a month or a year and just dabble your feet in a little bit and not really delve into getting to know somebody. So I liked that analogy that you just got to take your time and
Right.
figure it out. So
Yeah, sometimes I'll hear someone, or I remember at one point having someone I knew that they joined, and in an industry that I used to be a part of. And I saw them like 6 months later and I'm like, how's it going? And she said, oh, well, no
mhm,
one really reached out to me. And I was very respectful and honorable, but thinking, oh, girl, that's not how this works. This is a reflection. Like you will get, I'm thinking for a minute, like of Jen B, who is a member,
mm,
been a member
mhm,
for like a year and a half. She's one of the most well-known members because she literally jumped in, like there was no ignoring her. She was all over that members group. She was doing connections. Not everybody's going to do that, but the level that people know her at this point is because of the way that she jumped in.
For
Where
sure. Yep.
if you sit back and wait for people to come to you and you're like, well, no one came. There's 3,000 of us. If you do not make yourself known in this community, how are they going to know you're here? So,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So what do you think? Okay, if someone said, so what do you say, or what do you say right this minute? If someone says,
Yeah.
what's this dot thing? What's this dot thing? Do I got to wear the dots? What do you do? What is it?
I tell them to come and try us out. Because it is a feeling and not something you can describe. I mean, we have pretty words on the website, yes. And I can explain it, but I don't really honestly think that people will get it unless they come. And we found that out in leaps and bounds when we had our reunion last week, when we had probably 10 or 15 ladies come to our reunion, and we realized something was missing from every single one of them, and that was relationship and connection. I think I think as women, it's a very, very difficult to let our guards down to other women, because maybe we've been hurt in the past, or maybe we've been bullied when we were younger or whatever. And so I think we get jaded by not having female relationships as we are older. And this is a great avenue to have something that's healthy, and not have it being so toxic as what it can be. So
Yeah, and I think too that we can get so used to just barely the tread in the water that, okay, I'm good, I got plenty of connections, whatever, but it's not really happening, but we're just doing our best to hold our head above the water, that we don't see the life preserver. Like, you're so busy treading the water that there's something here that's going to help that you just don't even notice because you're so into it. And it's not until you hit a wall or something drastic happens, or you need a community and all of a sudden nobody's there, or whatever, or you're a transplant, or you have a life crisis or something, that all of a sudden you realize, oh wait, I was actually kind of drowning and I thought I was calling it fine or what have you. I mean, sometimes it's not that dramatic, but sometimes we're so busy being in the business of keeping all the wheels spinning that we don't realize how much we need and how much we miss it.
Yep. That is a true fact. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that, if you don't know, girl, you're living under a rock. I think that you know how much I adore you and how much our community adores you. I know all the people now need to know more about you and these dogs. So where can they find you?
Well, if you are a member of Polka Dot Powerhouse, I would definitely suggest that you look me up on the website. And on there, and if you're a managing director, you get access to my calendar link. And that way you can set up some private one-on-one time. I am an introvert. I do not do well speaking in front of 400 people. Don't make me do that. But I do love my one-on-ones, because I think that's where the magic happens. That's where you see the spark. That's where you see just all the things that happen in people's heads while you're talking to them. So
Love that. Love that. And I think that's a great thing too, that we have, I think, pretty well evenly dispersed. We have introverts, extrovert, ambivert, all of that. Like, we just want you to be you. That's all we want you to be. So, love that.
For sure.
All right. Thank you so much, Gretchen. I love you so much. And I appreciate you being here. And we will be back with another. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said thank you. Thank you.
We will be back with another managing director, decade dot, legacy leader interview soon. Until then, find joy and seek sisterhood. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.